kind of after the Christmas break come back in good nick?
Yeah, it was a tough one. First day back, we had a time trial on that 44-degree day, so it took them a few days to recover from that. But no, everyone's in better shape than they were before Christmas.
The gaff type and Marston, the running, I mean, that's them, isn't it? But impressing in that time trial coming back.
Yeah. Look, traditionally that time trials are probably the sign that the running element of pre-season's over in terms of standalone running. So now it's all done within training.
What about were you impressed with Eric, how well he's come up after his hip surgery?
Yeah, he's been really good with the transition. There's been 3 or 4 players who've had a bit of a slower progression to get back into full training, but just seeing them on the other oval, McGillivray, you can tell that they're ready to go. So I wasn't surprised, but he did run really well.
As far as the other guys coming out of rehab, how's Sharrod going?
Sharrod's going really well, and Rosa as well made the transition, Touchwood, really well at the moment, and they're one of the best trainers last week, all 3 of them. So.
And what about the guys that are walking laps at the moment? Still Scotty, Jack and Mark Hutchings, how they go?
Yeah, the next 3 or 4 weeks will determine a lot with how they're progressing. So they're all on schedule, but all of their injuries are longer term that hopefully we're over the hard part. Now it's starting to get back into training.
Are you thinking that they're going to be ready for the NAB challenge?
Look, the plan is that they'll be available at some stage, but it's a fine line.
Just on Scotty, just exactly where's he at? Like, when's he due to start running, and what's the program for him right now?
Well, it's a week-by-week scenario at the moment. Yeah, it's going on feel. So he's had his operation on his foot, before Christmas, and cleaned it up a little bit. Some sore spots there, and at the moment we're just going on feel. So we've been real cautious.
Is he running in the next week too?
Yeah, on and off he will be. Yeah, it depends on the swelling and how he settles and all those sort of things. So
how concerning is that though? Obviously the midfield's come under a fair bit of scrutiny, especially last year. The depth there. Scotty out, comes back for the Gold Coast game, and then yet again he's injured again. What's it's not ideal preparation for him though, with another gruelling year ahead, is it?
Oh, look, it's not uncommon for players to go through that with not being available pre-Christmas. I think he missed a whole chunk of pre-season a few years ago, ended up winning the best and fairest. So I'm not overly concerned about his progression. It's planned. It's not ideal, but he's getting through it.
When you say most will go through a NAB Cup and stuff, is there any that have been ruled out right now, or like Selwood will play a little bit?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that's why I mentioned the next couple of weeks are going to determine a lot of things. So ask me again in a few weeks' time. It's still early January, but all of them I'd hope would play at least one game at some stage pre-season. You're
confident all 3 will be right for round 1 though?
Oh, I hope so, yeah. Like I said, the next few weeks will determine a lot.
How's Bo progressed with his going into full contact?
Well, we still haven't thrown him in the deep end yet, and I don't need to see him go full contact. So at the moment, he would have done 100% of pre-season. We've pulled him out of the right drills at the right time, and we'll put him in those drills as late as we can. I don't think he needs to prove himself with how he attacks the ball or the play with the ball. So I want to give him every chance to play.
Are you, he and the medical staff all confident that things are tracking in the right direction?
Well, we're all on the same page, and we won't know until the real heat of the battle. It's just when we do that, and I think we're going to wait a few weeks before we test it out.
Obviously, tinkering new game plans, come out with new things and stuff. What's the biggest part of the game that the fans will expect, or biggest change that the fans should expect this year from you guys?
Well, hopefully it's just a progression of what we did last year, and the game never stays still, so I know that, and there's things that we noticed throughout the season that did change across all AFL. So we just want to be good at our fundamentals. So hopefully the improvement you'll see will be obviously another year with our coaching staff, but doing the basic things well in pressure situations is still the #1 priority.
What's the plan over the next couple of months? A lot of match sim and things like that? Or you continue to just do ball work and skills?
Yeah, a bit of both. Yeah, the sports science guys and myself have planned it in detail, and but we'll adapt to where we think we need to improve as we go along. But I would have thought in the next week or 2 you start doing some match simulation and scenarios. It's one thing we didn't get to do last year is any scenario-based training, so we'll start to include that late Jan.
And how's the group gone under the new captain, and how's he adjusted?
Oh, he's been flying at the moment. The pressures of a captain probably don't come until you start playing, but The biggest thing he hasn't done, he hasn't changed. So he's just been himself, which it's a really good sign. He speaks well, he trains well, trains hard, and along with our other leaders, he's setting a really good example.
And of the draftees, who's really impressed you?
I'm happy with all the guys we've drafted, to be honest. I think they've all got the ability to play senior football this year, which is really pleasing. I think you can tell a lot within the first few weeks about how they go about it and their maturity, and I'm pleased with all of them.
Not saying, you know, expectations and stuff to have an impact, I guess, from those draftees in this year, but, you know, a lot of clubs tinker the expectations for first-year players and say, oh, no, you know, just development year, but you're the other way. You think that they can actually push for, you know, spot in the 20s?
Oh, we won't play them if they're not ready. But what I'm seeing is the ability to handle situations already that perhaps a first-year player don't normally handle. But it is a longer-term approach, so we won't be throwing them in the deep end. But at the same time, if they're ready to play, we'll play them.
They're over in Melbourne at the induction today, aren't they? So they get a day off?
Oh, they trained yesterday. I think we sent Coxie with them as well, so they'll train in Melbourne. But they're probably due for a bit of a break anyway. They've been going for a while, and the first week back was pretty solid with the heat, so a couple of days of lighter sessions will be not too bad for them.
What about guys like Corey Adamson and Paddy Brophy? How are they tracking?
Tracking really well, yeah. They're both, you know, coming from different backgrounds, but they're there at training at the moment. They're not injured. They've completed full sessions and they're learning daily about how the game's played. There's still some work to do with both of them, but they're both athletically they're quite gifted. So if we can turn that into footballers, we'll see some good players.
Could you just elaborate a bit more on Corey Adamson and the part that he's come from, and you know what people can expect from him at this stage?
Yeah, he was a state rep under 15 AFL player, and then he went down a different pathway with baseball, and you know, he was approached last year, and the fire was in the belly a little bit with it, and so he's missed a good chunk of, you know, 7 or 8 years of development. So it's about getting up to speed with the game and also the basic fundamentals of footy. But he's got elite pace. He's really, really quick. He's a power athlete, and he's also got endurance. So, like I said, if we can get the footy smarts back, I think you'll see a player.
So, and just another one, just backtracking a little bit. Just want to go back to Jack Darling, the moon boot scans. What's the absolute latest with him?
Yeah, he'll get a scan in the next couple of weeks to get the all clear to go to the next level. So we're waiting on that scan. So we're not rushing him at all, but hopefully we get a good return. I think it's in 10 days or so.
And what's the big problem for him at the moment? What's troubling the most?
His foot. I'm not going into too much detail, but he I mean, it's been a long process. I mean, he hurt it in the last game, so we've just been really cautious. So we want the bone to heal in the foot as best it can, and you can only go by the scans.
Adam, you spoke about being able to do more match sim this year. Can you compare overall how they're going this time this year as opposed to your first year here
Last year we spoke a lot about the terminology and relationships, I suppose, with the coaches and what I wanted to see in the style of play. And we didn't really get into the nitty-gritty of scenarios within games and what to do and how to handle those pressures. So it doesn't guarantee any more wins, but we get an opportunity to train that a little bit this year and still progress what we educated on last year. So we haven't reinvented the wheel. We've just probably had a little bit more time to develop other areas of our game plan.
And you had them training in serious heat last week, I think it was, and are you using the heat to your advantage?
Oh, you wouldn't say it was to our advantage last Monday. We didn't have a good day Monday. The boys were cooked very early of the day, and I probably let them out there for a bit too long. But I think just naturally you get to train in the heat here, which is a bonus. We don't have to spend 200 grand to go somewhere. We can stay here and train in the heat if we wish to. So it's about finding the balance as well.